What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Golf Podcast USA Network. I am your host, Brett Smith, and today we've got a fun one. I'm joined by Aboo Tayub. He's the founder of Golf Business Technology, and he hosts the Golf Business Technology Podcast. He's one of those guys out in front covering how tech is changing golf from the business side. And in this episode, we talk about the future of golf, sims, apps, AI, and what's bringing new golfers to the game through technology and how operators are using it to create a more social and accessible golf experience. All right, let's get into it. What are you most excited about in golf tech right now, Aboo?
Well, it's the tech with the clubs at the moment and the operators as well, because you're seeing a lot of AI being integrated into it. And I don't know about you, Britt, but AI has exploded quite massively in all aspects of golf business. And not only on the club operator side, but in every aspect, things like fittings and club usage and just equipment really as well. So I don't know how you found it in terms of AI as well. Do you hear a lot about that on your end?
A little bit. I've learned a lot of the PGA Show. I saw a lot of apps that had AI caddies built into it. I've met with other companies, actually guests that have been on your podcast about their AI tech and solving problems for golf clubs. But yeah, it's definitely AI in general, is something that's pretty integrated in our world right now. And I think people are getting used to, so.
And I think also, indoor golf is booming at the moment. And I think we talked off air just now as well. And we were talking about the rise of simulator technology at the PGA Show. And you were saying, 10 plus years ago, there were only 2 or 3 on the show floor, but exploded now into like 30. And those areas, obviously, a lot of them partner with ranges and have technology for ranges. But the rise of indoor golf has been massive, especially across the US, Asia, mostly Korea as well, South Korea as well, and it's just a booming market. And I don't know how much you've heard about, obviously, that in terms of the indoor golf space as well.
I heard an interesting statistic about indoor golf, that the rounds in indoor golf surpassed on-course play for the second year in a row in the United States. So it's definitely apparent, and there's franchises out there I met at the PGA Show that are trying to open retail fronts for indoor golf. I was a skeptic at first. I had a friend of mine who played in an indoor golf league, and his partner bailed on him, and he needed help finishing the season. So I joined with him, and I was kind of telling him, I was like, we should really. This guy was a beginner golfer.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, we should really get you out on the course, because just like what I've always been taught as a golfer, I played the furthest I ever took it was high school. I was the captain of my team. Yeah. And, they always told us, you don't want to spend too much time hitting off the mats. And that's essentially what you're doing in indoor golf. However, I did meet companies at the PGA Show that are revolutionizing, the turf itself. So it's more realistic. There's like a rough section of the turf versus, a clean lie. And then, then we see things like at the TGL with, sand and sloped putting surfaces. There's all sorts of things that are coming out right now. And, that's pretty exciting. If you can set up a indoor simulator in your garage, you can really work on your game, especially if you live in, say, a state that, is frozen half of the year.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's. I think you hit the chord in there very much so in terms of TGL. So TGL has brought about new technologies in terms of new turf, for example. And I'm probably speaking to the same same company you've been talking to as well. I actually have a podcast with them set up at some point as well in the next week or so. But they, it's something interesting. I mean, I come from a traditionalist background. I'm a golfer, that plays 18 holes, green grass golf, and I found it odd as well playing indoor golf. I'd be more inclined to play range golf, to be honest, and I think there is a opportunity there. And I don't know if you've heard of. There's a company called Blue Jeans, and they are revolutionizing the driving range experience. Really, they're buying up across the whole of the US, driving range facilities, and just refurbing them, and just making them really cool experiences for families to come to, and just golfers to come to as well. And I see the future of the game being, range golf, really. And I'd love there to be an opportunity where there's as well as we have like the tour, playing green grass golf, a lot of tournaments playing green grass golf. I see an opportunity in the future where there's range tournaments coming up as well. So there's an opportunity for in cities and in countries as well, or even globally as well, to do range type tournaments. And there already exist indoor golf tournaments, globally. So there's virtual. I'm sure you've seen them, the virtual golf tournaments that they have, Trackman Run and Golf Zone Run as well. And I think there is an opportunity there for range golf to go down the same route. I don't know what you're seeing in the US at the moment. Do you partake a lot in range golf yourself, and do you see a lot happening there on that side of things?
I do. Like I said, I played in that indoor league, and I do see. I mean, it gets intense, man. It's just like any other, like a bowling league or a pool league or something like that. It gets as intense as that. And if you look at other sports and what they do as far as their leagues, I really feel like the golf, especially with the technology side of it, it's almost like online gaming, and that's what it's going to turn into. So you could potentially go to your range and represent your club and play against another club, say where you live, and it becomes this new way of playing, and being competitive. I talked to Oscar Asgard. He's the head of product at Top Tracer while I was at the PGA Show, and
I know him.
He was very much professing about gamifying the game of golf, and how do we get someone to buy one more bucket of at the range. And I really think that they've done a good job as far as, like, I think the approach challenge game is fun. I like to look at, this is just maybe ego talking, but I'm not the longest driver in the world, but I can hit the ball pretty good. And I like to see the leaderboards, and I like to, see if I can take a stab at the long drive. I make a little game of visiting Top Tracer ranges exclusively almost anymore, because for one, it's fun to, play the games and, try to get on the leaderboard. But the data that you get back about your swing and your ball speed and the trace, all of that stuff helps me make adjustments while I'm at the range and get real-time data that says, yeah, this is working or this is not working. And I think that's incredibly valuable to a new golfer or even an experienced golfer, that's working on particular things, because these technologies were not available when I was a junior golfer coming up. I was joking with Oscar that I said we were lucky just to have a heater. That was about as high tech as you got. Other than just hitting the balls. But now you get all this information back on your shot, and it's incredibly helpful, and it translates one thing about the indoor league experience was that things that I would work on in the simulator directly transferred to on-course play. And it will even burn, you know, we were using a full swing simulator, and you putt into the screen, and there's like a yellow line, you know, that tells you what the break of the putt is. And it's so burned into my brain when I would be playing on a course that I literally see that yellow line in my brain when I'm putting, even, you know, in real golf. So I just think it's interesting how you can train your brain. And then there's, you know, other incredible applications out there. One that I was most impressed with was from PuttView. PuttView creates an app that will read the green for you. It will read the slope, and just, you know, it's illegal in competition and I understand that, you know, you want to keep it fair, but it does in practice train, you know, so that you can really understand what the feel of a 1 to 2% slope break is, you know, versus, you know, it being all feel, you know, in the past, you know, you had to feel it out, you know. So I think that was an interesting revolutionary technology that came out of the PGA Show, and they've been out for a while. But the green reading app is not out to the public yet. It comes out in April. But what a change in the game, you know, to get this data that never existed before and to be able to instantly apply it to your game.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, I came across. I mean, there's you touched on obviously helping players and yourself, you know, being in those sims as well, those full swing sims. But you know, a lot of these technologies, either indoor or range, you know, can help you know, coaches as well. So in terms of the coaching side of things, you know, coaches helping their students prepare, you know, whatever level they're at, you know, but able to obviously give them, because that's the one thing, right? So I don't know if you've ever been with a coach before, but you know, coaches would say, you know, I mean, they teach something and then give some homework to the student, and you know, 9 times out of 10, a student would never do it. To be honest with you, that's where the lesson would end. You know, they wouldn't actually follow up. But with tech now, you know, you can follow your progress. Your coach can use a Top Tracer coach program or a Golf Zone coach program, whatever it is, and be able to you know, facilitate a coaching program with the students, and it keeps their sort of interest as well, you know, so they would go to the same range. They don't have to set up any other tech, any other apps or anything like that. They basically just go to their range, which had the Top Tracer technology on it, and log in, and they can practice and do the drills and whatever their coach has asked them to do, and the coach can, you know, monitor it offline, and or you know, just log in to see their progress at the end of the day as well. So, and it also gives a bit of impetus to the student to say, oh God, if I don't do this, you know, my coach is going to know that I haven't done it, you know. So I think it's a great technology. And I don't know from your side what you're seeing in terms of the coaching side of things. Did you hear anything from Top Tracer? Did they mention anything about that? Because I know that that's quite a big part for them as well.
Well, I will tell you this, you know, at the PGA Show, we did a live show, and we had a top 100 coach from Pennsylvania on, and he said that the top 10 coaches in the world all use simulators. And he was reluctant in the beginning, but on another podcast, I heard a coach on there, and he was, you know, way into doing remote teaching sessions. Where you would basically set up your phone on, like, let's say the putting green, and he goes, for me, he goes, I feel like I'm right there with you, during your practice session, putting. So like, the remote coaching is something that's booming. It's something that's available for instructors to take advantage of. So I see a lot of success from other coaches. So if that's something that, let's say you're listening right now, it's worth, the investment to get a website and to, figure out how to do the remote coaching, because there's guys out there that are doing it, and their students love it too, because they, like you said, they can go to their own range or their own club, and you set up and boom, you're getting expert, black belt instruction from somebody that, could be on the other side of the country.
Yeah. It is amazing, isn't it, that technology has allowed us to do this. I think also the COVID happening, all those years ago, I think has pushed this along. And then, as well as I do, the boom that golf experienced from it, and it's opened up all these opportunities for different types of technologies. And you're talking about, online remote coaching being one of them as well, but, just a whole plethora of technologies that have opened up as a result of that, and has pushed golf ahead. Actually, even though I know we were speaking off air earlier, and we were, still golf has a long way to go in terms of adopting technologies as well. But I think it's on the right track. I think when you've got media assets like ours, your podcast, my organization, Golf Business Technology, which is obviously a media platform and a news platform for the business of technology, the business of golf technology. And we also run a conference in the UK and one in Orlando for coaching technologies. So the one in the United Kingdom covers all sorts of technology. And Brett, if you have some time, we run it in the first week of May, and I'd urge you to have a look at that, because a lot of the companies that you're talking about there, they are present at our conference, and all the leaders in the space. You talked about Top Tracer, you talk about TrackMan, you talk about GolfZone. These are companies that we work with, and I would urge anybody listening to this today, and whether you're a technology provider or an attendee, potential attendee, whether you're a club, resort operator, or a coach, please do have a look. And I'm sure Brett will obviously, share a lot of our information with you as well. But Brett, I think we need to get you down there to do some podcasts at the event.
I'd love to. Let me ask you this. So you run, Golf Business Technology Podcast, the media company. At what moment did you know that golf needed a dedicated tech business media layer?
I think our background is in B2B events and media, and we've done it for a very long period. And sports was something we wanted to get into, and golf. We looked at the B2B side of things on golf, and there's a lot in consumer media, but in terms of the B2B space, there was an entry point for a company like ourselves to come in and do something like this, where we have media and events from all sides of the spectrum, whether it be coaching B2B technologies or the operator, golf club, resort operator technology side of things, the business of that. But there's so much in golf, and I think this sort of idea came about 10 years ago. Really, that's how long golf business technology has been around. But it's been about constantly chipping away and getting to talk to. And you talked about it already. The PGA Show growing in technology, because obviously it used to be the merchandise show, and that's grown significantly on the tech side of things and the business side of things. So I guess we've just grown with the trend, to be honest, and we saw that trend happening, and it's a great industry to be a part of. And I don't know how long have you worked in the golf industry yourself, Brett? Have you How have you found it in terms of the podcast that you run, and do you think it's something that you think is booming, and you think obviously going ahead, where do you see it in the next 5 to 10 years, do you think?
Well, I got my start at a golf retail shop in Tacoma, Washington, and I was really lucky because I was playing high school golf, and that was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So back then, it was all about the technology and the shafts and the metals that were being used, like titanium. They had just kind of started revolutionizing, the metals really, and the drivers were getting bigger. In the past, they were smaller, and even further back, they were wooden. So like the technology there was more in the equipment. It wasn't necessarily on the course or too much in the training aids. There was some weighted clubs, I think, was probably the most tech forward training aid. Flash forward 25 years. I mean, I've always been in golf. I've played casually throughout, my entire adult life. And, I've divorced the game a couple times, but, definitely, since COVID, I found I lived in a state that was pretty locked down, and they were pretty lenient on golf courses. So I found a lot of refuge on the golf course in 2020, and I started to play again, and, really starting to remember why I love golf. And, the indoor league experience, and just kind of getting reintroduced to the game from, more of a traditional background, in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, like we talked about at the top, the indoor space, blowing up, and gamifying it, making it more like network gaming. I pitched to Oscar. I said, I love your app. I love what you're doing. I love the games. I said, the only thing you're missing is a social aspect. If I see somebody at my local range that hit it 450 yards, I want to play around with that guy. How do I get a hold of him? I'm just looking at a username. So he actually took that, he said he had to be coy about answering it, because I feel like maybe it's something that's under development already. But I think that there's going to be a social aspect that's going to be, injected into golf somehow. I don't know if it'll be its own platform, like like an Instagram or a Facebook or something like that. But I really feel like the next step is, like, once the technology is in place and the games are there, there's going to have to be some form of communication. One reason we started Golf Podcast USA to begin with is just, to have a hub for that. And that's a layer that's missing. As far as, technology, what does proof look like in tech right now? Is it like adoption, retention?
Well, I think it's retention at the moment. I think where there are a lot of technologies there that are legacy based, and it's about adding onto that, but keeping, obviously, you'll notice a lot of technology right now. So I work a lot with the operations side of things for clubs, and technology there has been legacy based historically. And so we touched on things like AI, but people want to have, as with anything really, people don't want to have too many apps or too many technologies that they need to use in their businesses. So they're asking basically for one company to do it for them. And so for an example being, a club, for example, and they, there's so many facets to a club. So it could be F&B, operations, accounting, all sorts of things. And normally you'd get many different apps or many different technologies to control all of these softwares. But we've seen a lot of companies come out now with the advent of AI, obviously coming in and making things quite easy for people to do, is controlling all these facets, and adding, a layer of an AI into it as well. So you must have seen quite a few companies do these virtual, all these AI concierge services as well, and and just controlling, using bots and controlling that whole process at the end of the day. So for example, in the pro shop, just replacing the normal, where it used to be, a golfer calling up to book a tee time. There's instead of someone answering on the other end, there's a bot, or there's an AI, or a concierge service that's fully automated to take that booking for them. And you'd be really surprised at how well these technologies are now. So it all filters down from there, from the pro shop down to operations, because these clubs now are, it's not a mom and pop sort of, which they used to be. There are still those out there. They aren't a mom and pop operation anymore. The small public courses at the moment and out in the US, they are businesses now as well. So that's the way they want to be run. So there's a lot happening in terms of the whole ecosystem around that type of golf business now. But I'm interested to see what you think. I mean, I think you've probably touched on it quite a bit with the equipment side of things. But how are you seeing equipment, in terms of professional equipment down to sort of the amateur, sort of the normal, golfer like us? I mean, how has that changed for the technology side of things? Because that's something that we're not particularly into ourselves, although we do a lot of reviews on the site as well. We get a lot of products and technologies that are sent out to us. But I think you know more about that, Brett, in terms of the equipment side of things. Do you think?
I would say what's coming if it's not already here now, because of the data that you get from your range sessions, but and I think that Gary Player touched on it in his interview about PXG. Is the fitting. I think that fitting is going to be a big thing that comes out of this in terms of equipment, because, I mean, you could get the greatest club in the world, but if it's not fit for you, it's not going to be optimal. So I really feel that the data, is going to, and how you buy clubs, that fitting will be, the first thing you talk about, before you decide on which brand. And that will come from data from your range sessions. It'll come from augmented reality and things because each player's swing is a fingerprint. Your swing doesn't look like my swing, and our swing doesn't look like Rory McIlroy. It's I think that there's going to be data out there that will instantly give you that at some point. And if it's not already in development or about to launch already, I think that there will be an industry standard as far as that's concerned. But I want to ask you, if you were to bet on one category, what do you think's gonna? If you were to bet on one category, what category would you bet on when it comes in terms of technology?
Interesting. I would look at probably I'm sure you've heard of a company called Sportsbox AI, correct? You may have heard of them. But she's an ex Top Tracer employee and Top Golf employee. But it's an interesting, so it's all the swing mechanics that are used. They use AI actually, but I think the technology around that, your swing and biodynamics of that's what golfers are trying to get to, right? So, you can look at tour players, professional players, or even just your your golfer just wanting to get better, and you see all these technologies present in indoor golf facilities now, so companies like T-Box and Five Iron Golf and all of them as well. They've got all the TrackMans and all the technologies also, but people want a rounded view, but where they're at. So it can be, all those type of technologies. Now, you touched on PuttView, which is also available in indoor golf as well. PuttView, TrackMan, Top Tracer. You're looking at Golf Zone. All those technologies where people don't want to be on green grass, because it takes up a lot of time, obviously playing a 9 holes or an 18 hole as well. But there's the emergence of short course golf now, par threes, and so all these the entertainment side of golf, and the just wanting the technology, they're just wanting golfers to get better now. With indoor golf as well, there's just an explosion of that at the moment, just to make golf more accessible. And with that, you talked about your friend there in terms of him, being a first-time golfer and going and trying golf at an indoor golf facility. That's where the entry point is. And if we can make it more exciting for a first-time golfer with either technology or entertainment, wherever that may be, or an indoor golf range, or even the short course entertainment options like the par threes and short course golf. And I think that's where I think the boom is happening at the moment, and where a lot of money is being invested, by golf investment houses all across the globe now, especially in North America and Asia at the moment as well. So I think that's where you'll see the opportunities lie, Brett.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the indoor thing, I mean, let's put it this way. If you got a friend that's a beginner, you start him in February, that guy is going to be playing golf with you on course by May. I think that's a revolutionary piece to golf, and especially for growing the game.
Yeah.
Aboo,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you and coming on, and this has been a great conversation. Where can people find your work and get in contact with you?
Well, they could go to our 2 websites initially, golfbusinesstechnology.com and golfbusinesstechnologyconference.com. And my details will be on the contact pages there as well, so they can reach out to me and ask me any questions they would like, if they have an interest in getting involved on the platform or at the conference in the UK. But they'll also be able to find information about the coaches conference happening in Orlando next month as well. Any
social media you want to drop?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn as well. So just search for Aboo Tayub on LinkedIn, and search for Golf Business Technology on LinkedIn. Also on Instagram as well. If they search for Golf Business Technology, we'll come up there, and we'll be glad for them to have a follow or just connect with me if they wish.
Right on. Well, I appreciate your time, and I thank you again for joining us. And Aboo Tayub, everybody, thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Brett. Thanks for your time, and a pleasure to be on your podcast today. All the best.
Thank you. All right. Big thanks again to Aboo Tayub from Golf Business Technology for coming on. This conversation, I think, really nails where golf is headed. The indoor boom, the driving range becoming a tech-integrated experience, virtual tournaments, what formats like TGL signal about the future, more social, more accessible entry points, and more data that actually helps golfers improve. And that's exactly why we built Golf Podcasts USA. Local golf stories at national scale across all 50 states and beyond. If you want the full catalog, head to golfpodcast.org, find your state show, hit follow, and share this episode with a golf buddy who's into Sims and golf tech. It helps a ton. I'm Brett Smith. Thanks for listening, and always remember to tip your cart staff.